Welcome to the Marriage Insights Podcast. Today, we're diving into the cornerstone of a strong marriage, effective communication. It's easy to think big problems cause marital strife, but often it's the small, unexpressed needs that do the most damage. Think of it like this: a dam slowly filling with water. Each unvoiced concern is a drop, seemingly insignificant. But over time, the water level rises, creating pressure. Eventually, the dam bursts in an emotional outburst that seems disproportionate. The receiving partner is often left blindsided, interpreting the outburst as a personal attack rather than a request for help. It's like saying, "You always do this," instead of, "Could you help me with this?" The key takeaway: voicing needs proactively allows partners to understand each other's emotional states and adjust behavior accordingly. It's about creating transparency and preventing that dam from ever reaching its breaking point. Let's dive into the case of Jasmine and Craig. Imagine Jasmine handling most of the household chores, feeling increasingly unappreciated. This is a classic example of unacknowledged labor. Exactly. Her frustration wasn't communicated, it just simmered. Then, one day, it boiled over. She snapped, and Craig was left feeling completely blindsided. He interpreted her outburst as a personal attack, not a request for help. And that's the crux of the issue. Instead of saying, "Hey, Craig, I'm feeling overwhelmed with the housework, could you pitch in?" Jasmine's unspoken resentment led to a major conflict. The key takeaway here is the power of proactive communication. Voicing needs early on allows your partner to understand your emotional state and adjust their behavior accordingly. It's about preventing the buildup of resentment before it explodes. Let's dig into Madeline and Owen's story. Madeline really didn't care for Owen's friend, Bruce. Bruce's lifestyle, with the drinking and inappropriate jokes, made her uncomfortable. Right, but here's the key. She never told Owen. She knew they'd been friends since childhood, and she didn't want to cause a rift. So she suffered in silence. Exactly. Then, one night, Owen came home drunk, and Madeline just blew up. She called Bruce a loser and said she hated him. The outburst seemed to come out of nowhere. But the real issue wasn't hatred. It was that Bruce's lifestyle didn't align with their married life anymore. It was about their priorities as a couple shifting. A counselor helped them unpack this. Madeline finally articulated her genuine concerns, and they agreed to reduce contact with Bruce. It was about protecting their relationship. And that's the critical point. Early, honest communication could have prevented the explosion and the need for counseling. It's a reminder that addressing issues early saves time, money, and heartache. Let's break down the impact of unexpressed needs versus direct communication. Think of it as a series of trade-offs. Emotionally, unexpressed needs lead to silent resentment, a slow burn that damages trust. Direct communication, while potentially uncomfortable, addresses concerns as they arise, preventing that buildup. From your partner's perspective, a sudden outburst seems irrational and out of the blue. Direct communication provides context, making concerns understandable and valid. Conflict severity? Unexpressed needs often result in major fights, fueled by accumulated frustration. Direct communication allows for productive discussions, focusing on specific issues. The relationship impact is significant. Unexpressed needs erode trust and connection, while direct communication strengthens understanding and the bond between partners. Finally, consider the time investment. Avoiding communication might seem easier in the short term, but it can lead to expensive counseling down the road. Direct communication requires a minimal upfront investment of time and vulnerability, preventing larger problems later. Let's talk actionable principles for better communication. First, vulnerability is strength. It might feel scary to share your true thoughts and feelings, but bottling them up leads to far worse outcomes. Think of it like this: the short term discomfort of a vulnerable conversation versus the long term pain of resentment. Exactly. Next, assess the risk of silence. What's more damaging? Potentially upsetting your partner with honest communication or letting resentment fester and explode later? Often, the fear of conflict is greater than the actual conflict itself. Proactive disclosure is key. Your partner isn't a mind reader. They can't respond to needs they don't know exist. It's like expecting a plant to thrive without water. It's just not going to happen. And finally, direct communication is the best prevention strategy. It's the most effective tool we have to avoid misunderstandings and build a stronger, more connected relationship. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Let's debunk a common myth. Time heals all wounds in marriage. It's tempting to think problems will magically disappear, but that's rarely the case. Exactly. Think of intimacy as something that needs constant nurturing. Relationships are like living organisms. They need consistent care to thrive. Ignoring problems is like neglecting a plant. It won't get better on its own. Consider the cultivation metaphor. A garden needs regular watering, sunlight, and weeding. Similarly, marriages require attention, resources, and maintenance. So, passive weeding leads to deterioration, not improvement. Good marriages are built deliberately through intentional work. Time alone doesn't fix things, active effort does. So let's debunk this myth that time heals all wounds. It's more like time reveals all wounds if you don't actively address them. Exactly. Think of your relationship as a living organism. It needs constant nourishment, right? Neglect it, and it's going to degrade. Good marriages aren't accidental, they're intentionally built. Consider the cultivation metaphor. A garden needs watering, sunlight, weeding. If you just wait, ignoring the plant's needs, it dies. Relationships are the same. Precisely. Intimacy requires consistent effort. It's not a passive process. Waiting without action leads to deterioration, not improvement. Time paired with inaction becomes destructive. So, instead of hoping time will magically fix things, focus on actively nurturing your relationship. That's the key to a thriving marriage. Let's dig into this relationship as garden idea. It's more than just a cute analogy. It highlights the active role we must take in nurturing our marriages. Exactly. Think about it. A garden needs specific conditions: the right soil pH, adequate sunlight, consistent watering. Marriages are the same. They need attention, care, and resources to flourish. And what happens if you just plant a seed and walk away? You don't water it, you don't weed it, you don't protect it from pests. It dies. Passive waiting is a recipe for disaster. Time heals all wounds only works if you're actively tending to those wounds. It's about regular check-ins, date nights, expressing appreciation, and working through conflicts constructively. So, it's not enough to just be married, you have to cultivate the marriage. Regular watering, sunlight, weeding, and monitoring determine the garden's success. Let's dig deeper into this garden metaphor. Think of affection as the water. Just like plants need regular watering, couples need consistent displays of affection. This could be physical touch, words of affirmation, or quality time. And positive interactions are like sunlight. A garden needs sunlight to thrive, and a relationship needs positive interactions to flourish. This means focusing on the good, celebrating successes, and offering encouragement. Addressing issues is like weeding. Weeds can choke the life out of a garden, and unresolved issues can damage a relationship. It's important to address problems head on, communicate openly, and work together to find solutions. Finally, staying connected is like monitoring the garden. A gardener needs to regularly check on their plants to ensure they're healthy and thriving. Similarly, couples need to stay connected by checking in with each other, listening to each other's needs, and making time for each other. Neglecting any of these areas can lead to problems down the road. So, let's wrap up. We've explored how crucial communication is and debunked the myth of time heals all wounds. The key takeaway? Don't passively wait for your marriage to improve. It requires active cultivation, much like a garden. Neglecting it leads to deterioration, not healing. Think of it this way. Intimacy isn't automatic. It's built through consistent effort. Open communication, addressing needs, and intentional actions are your tools. So ditch the idea that time alone will fix things. Instead, actively nurture your relationship through communication, effort, and unwavering intentionality. Your marriage will thank you for it.